Welcome to Fireside Nets. This is episode 203, your number one place for all Brooklyn Nets news, reactions, opinions. We got a very special guest on the show tonight, former Brooklyn Net and former Kansas Jayhawk, Tyshawn Taylor. Tyshawn, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, my dog? I appreciate you having me, man. Appreciate you working with me, being a little bit late too, man.
It's all right, man. I needed something to talk about other than this election, other than the politics. They don't have basketball on today, which I get, man. Everyone should go and vote. I'm all for that, but I got to talk some ball, man. I need something to take my mind off this stuff.
And for real, I was looking on my FanDuel today, and I'm like, damn, there's no basketball on today? What's going on? I forgot.
Yeah.
About that election.
First time since the season started, I think. So, yeah, I want to get into it with you. I want to talk a little bit about your career at Kansas. I mean, real hoopers remember your career there. I remember your career. I was in college when you were playing over there. I was at UMass Amherst, actually. So we had a pretty good point guard in Chaz Williams. I don't know if you remember him. You might have been a little bit after.
From New York. Yeah, hell yeah. Chaz, my boy from New York. Yeah, from New York. He's still. I just seen him on Instagram like 2 days ago, giving out buckets overseas somewhere.
Bro, that was the best player at UMass my 4 years there. He was awesome. But
yeah, he was a dog.
So I remember him. I remember you. You two were kind of two of my favorite guards in the league. What are you most proud of during your career at Kansas?
My entire career, bro. Honestly, my transition from high school to Kansas was pretty smooth. I played for a great high school coach in Bob Hurley. So getting to Kansas, I really didn't know what to expect. I was just happy to be at a university like Kansas. And so when I got there, it was the year after they won a national championship when Mario Chalmers hit that big shot. And so I got there to basically a pretty new team. Like the team was pretty brand new. We had 7 recruits that year, the Morris twins, myself. So it was like pretty fresh. And so I was able to come in right away and make an impact, which before that time, a lot of freshmen from Kansas weren't able to do.
Right.
So I was able to start right away. I played a bunch of games. I was very successful my freshman year, like more successful than I anticipated and probably even my coaches anticipated. And so it was good, man. And then from year to year, I just got better and I got better. Our teams were good. We always were in the Final Four run or in a deep NCAA run. And so it was always like we were playing for something. I always felt like we were playing for something. So it was really high level, really competitive. And I just loved it. Like my teammates were, are still some of my best friends to this day. So I mean, my experiences were, for me, they were unmatched, bro. I wouldn't trade them for the world. I was actually sitting here talking to my son recently about some of the best college places to play. And I just was like, I may be biased, bro, but like, there's no experience like being a Kansas basketball player at the university. Like, it's nothing like that. Like the experience you get playing in that historic field house and playing for a Hall of Fame coach and playing with my team, all my teammates. I played with 7 or 8 lottery picks. So I got to play with guys who were really high level. And, it's just like that became the norm. Like we knew somebody was going to have a breakout year and get drafted fucking lottery. And who was it going to be, right? Who was going to be? And so it was just very competitive, man. It was really just, I felt like what I needed coming from the high level, high experience of my high school to get to something like Kansas and be able to kind of fit right in was amazing.
You mentioned your Hall of Fame coach and Bill Self. What was it like playing for him?
Coach Self is 101, man. He's 101. I think when it comes to basketball, he's top tier. He's up there with the Mike Krzyzewskis and the Calipari's of the world, and just going back like the Bob Knights of the world. Like he's that caliber of coach when it comes to like his players respected him. His basketball IQ and his basketball mind is like unmatched, bro. Like you're in a timeout down 2, you don't panic when you got Coach Self on the sideline because he's going to put you in position to be successul. Whether you execute or not is up to the player sometime, but like you just know that he has something that is going to work for any like anything. So it was those moments where I was like, we would be panicking and then he would pull us to the side and be like, bro, like, let's just run this. And then we run it and it's flawless. And it was like, damn, like he is a machine. You know, so I mean, again, he's 101 when it comes to just like knowing the game, um, getting guys to buy into the system. You think about Kansas and how we can lose 6 or 7 guys in a year and come back and still be number one team in the country because it's the system, it's the coach, it's like it's the atmosphere. It's like it's him, it's him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he is.
Yeah.
We love Kansas, but he's been the system for a while now, and so like you go there understanding and knowing that you're gonna have to buy into the system that's been working.
He is on my Mount Rushmore of college coaches, easy as a fan. Like, if you want to talk about the top 4 college coaches of all time, you got to throw Bill Self in that conversation. Who is a player? I mean, who are some players that you modeled your game after, in college and getting to the NBA? Like, who are some guys you really looked up to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like answering. I like these kind of questions because I'm on that cusp of like I grew up. I'm born in 1990, so I know the effects of like the Michael Jordans and the Magic Johnsons and the Dominique Wilkinses of the world and the Larry Birds. Like I know the effect of those guys, but I grew up watching basketball in the 2000s. I grew up falling in love with the Kobe's and the AIs, and the T-Mac was my favorite player. Like T-Mac was my all-time favorite player and still is to this day. And so I grew up in that Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury, watching those Handle mixtapes and those and one mixtapes. So like really who I modeled my game after were guys that I played nothing like, right? Like I would go to the park and try to do the T-Mac Hezzy pull-up, or I would be in the park practicing the AI crossover, or the Stephon Marbury like change of direction or change of speed. So it was like these little things that I would try to pick up from everybody. And after a while, certain things just started to feel more comfortable and natural. But if I would say anybody that I would compare my game to, like as a finished product, like the person that I ended up being as a player, when I would look at somebody, I would always say like a poor man's like Westbrook or D Rose, right? Like just an attacking guard, someone who wants to get to the rim and wants to put pressure on the defense by attacking. I know the game is a little bit different now because everybody's shooting threes from 30 feet, but I was the guy that was getting that bitch and pushing it 90 feet. First, let's see what we can get at the rim first, and then we throw that bitch out and maybe shoot a 3. So, even in the new day age, I love Ja Morant. He's one of my favorite players to watch. And one of my homies was like, because you think he played like you. And again, a poor man's version, but yes, that's the type of aggression that I had and the type of attack mentality that I've always played with. Is like, I want to get that bitch in transition and go get a bucket in 2 or 3 dribbles, or I want to get downhill if I got the guy backpedaling one-on-one. So yeah, like those fast-paced, up-tempo guards are the guards that I ended up like kind of being that type of player. Like in transition, I feel like I'm top tier getting to that basket and finishing around the rim and playing misdirection and change of direction and change of speed, change of pace. Like those are my things, and so I got really good at that after a while.
Ja Morant, did you see those 2 360 layups the other night against the Nets?
Ridiculous. I was
switching hands in midair.
Ridiculous. His athleticism is definitely 101. His skill set, his mindset, the way he just wants to be the best player. I love. Obviously, we got in some trouble and kind of sidelined him and quieted
happens.
Ja Morant.
Listen, it's part of it.
He's a young kid.
Young kid.
But I was telling my son, if that doesn't happen, there's a lot more hype around him, and we're not talking about Ant-Man as much, or maybe we still talking about Ant, but there's some Ja in that conversation as well, and I think he'll get back to that point because he's just so good, man. He's just so good.
There's a fearlessness with the way Ja Morant plays. Like he doesn't care if you're 7'5" or 5'9". He's gonna dunk on you. Like he's gonna go and he's gonna toy with you in midair. He was doing that with Claxton the other night, where he looked like he was gonna crank it and then just totally switch to a layup. His athleticism is unrivaled.
Ridiculous.
Real fast, I wanted to get into your Nets tenure a little bit. You played with the Brooklyn Nets from 2012 to 2014. Just for the audience out there, what are some moments? You had some really incredible Hall of Fame teammates and Pierce and KG when they were there. You played with ISO Joe, Darren Williams. Just what are some experiences and memories that you have from those Brooklyn Nets teams in the late 2010s or early 2010s?
Well, I like to tell people that I was the first draft pick for the Brooklyn Nets. Like I was there first as an organization, as a Brooklyn Nets organization. I was the first draft pick because that was the first year that we went from New Jersey to Brooklyn. We had a new arena. I remember going to see the Barclays Center with a hard hat on before it was like even built after I got drafted. So I was like in the middle of where the court was, ended up being when there was nothing there. And so like I remember those experiences, like it just being so new, right? Like the energy of the new team was so crazy. Jay-Z being involved, and I remember being on the sideline and Jay-Z like saying my fucking name, like calling my name because he was so a part of like what was going on that he knew who I was because I was the draft pick that year. And I was just like, this is insane. So like I remember those moments a lot. I remember getting off to like a really good start that first year, going like probably 13-1 in November or October, and then getting to November and like going like 1-13. And I also and it happened that fast. Like so I get into the league, we have a really good start. The second month we have a bad start, and I got a new coach. Like I was like, damn, this is really business. Like Avery Johnson.
Who was that too? That was who was coaching, and then who was the new coach?
It was Avery Johnson was the coach, and he got coach of the month in November. We went 13-1. We got off to a really good start. It was like really good. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be like good team. Went 1-13, like November or December, and he was fired that month. I was like, oh my gosh. And then we had PJ Carlissimo step in, and he finished the season for us. And we ended up getting to the playoffs, and I think we lost the first round of the Bulls.
Chicago, yeah. I got you losing to Chicago that year.
Yeah, we lost to Chicago without D Rose. It was Nate Robinson who fried us. Nate Robinson came out of nowhere and cooked us. We all like D Rose. He gets hurt. And then we played against Nate Robinson. Like, not that he wasn't on the scouting report, but it's just like we all took a deep breath of relief when D Rose kind of was like, oh, okay, cool. And then Nate just came out and fucking dogged us. Obviously, Joe Kim and Taj Gibson, they had a good team. They were good, but like we were good too and thought we could win. And I'm pretty sure it went to 7 games. Like, it was a good series. We lose, and then we come back the next year and we get Jason Kidd, obviously. And I was really, really hype about that. But the most memorable thing for me was the signing of Sean Livingston. Like, the resurgence of Sean Livingston was also like the like kind of set me back also. Like, I remember Sean coming in and me being like, fuck, like, is this good? Like, is this a good thing? Because like we got rid of CJ Watson, and so we just had D Will, and I was like the backup going into training camp, and then we signed Sean, and I was like, oh shit. Like, and then Sean ended up pretty much like resurrecting his career there. Like, ended up going back to Golden State and winning some championships and like becoming the player that we all thought he could be before the injury. But that year, which what I thought was going to be my year, ended up being Sean's year for him. And I remember that like being like really frustrated, but also like Sean's such a nice guy and was like so helpful to me that it was like hard to be like mad about it almost. But I also, and then I remember obviously the big trade with the Celtics and getting Paul and getting KG and Jason Terry, which was really fun. I remember this summer going into that second year, just meeting those guys in LA for the first time and like hanging out with them. Like, I'm a second year kid and I'm hanging out. I'm in like fucking Noble in LA with KG and Paul and Jason Terry, like smoke a cigar, and D Will and Joe, like we smoke a cigar. I'm like, my mind is blown, bro. Like, as a basketball fan, as a kid who loves the game, to be in those rooms and that environment with guys talking basketball and just kicking shit with guys who I respect and looked up to for so long, was amazing. Like, that was, I think for me, not being able to play a bunch, I took more from the locker room, like just talking to guys and stuff like that. Obviously, I became a better player because I was working on my game every day. I couldn't show it because I wasn't playing much, but by the time I left the NBA and got overseas, I was almost unstoppable, it felt like, because I had worked on my game for those 2 years at a level around the atmosphere of other guys who've been in the league for 10 years. So it was just like a mindset that I took with me over there that allowed me to be successful in my time over there. So yeah, that was a great 2 years, bro. I wish I could have extended it, but like those memories I got forever, bro. Like, I'll sit here and talk to my son about it often because it's just like shit that happened in those short amount of time that'll last with me for a lifetime, bro.
Yeah, just looking at it from a fan's perspective, those 2 years that you were on the team, that was the first time since the Jason Kidd was playing era that the Nets had some respect in the league. Like, there was a 6 to 7 year period, and I remember it well because my family had season tickets when they were in New Jersey. Like, as a 6-7 year old kid, the second they got Jason Kidd, that's when I became a fan and I started going to games. And from '07 to up until 2011, 2012, the Nets were considered kind of the laughing stock. And then they make the move to Brooklyn. And like the year that we traded for KG and Pierce, even before that, when we had Darren Williams and Joe Johnson, as a fan, that was like, all right, we're no longer in the dreads of the NBA. We have a team that players respect, that fans respect, and that's a fun product on the court. So I thank you for being a part of that sort of resurgence of the Nets.
I'm a Jersey kid, bro. I'm from Hoboken, bro. So like me getting drafted to Brooklyn was like, I almost wish we were still the New Jersey Nets just so I can say I got drafted to New Jersey. But at that, again, the Barclays Center wasn't even built yet. So we still did all our practicing in Jersey. We still did everything in Jersey. So it felt very much New Jersey Nets that first year. Like I really felt a part of like a New Jersey Nets because everything was still in East Rutherford. So I was like excited. Like I was home. I was like, oh shit. Like I actually lived in Hoboken during that whole tenure. So I was like literally back home. And like you said, the energy was completely different. I grew up watching Jason Kidd. I grew up watching Vince Carter and Richard Jefferson and Kenny Martin. Like I loved those teams. And then I also had to watch while I was in college D. Will struggle with the Nets and them go through those years with Deshaun Stevenson. And I love these guys as competitors, but as like for the Nets, we just weren't good. And so I remember that. And then I also then we turn it into Brooklyn, and then everything is like it's like we're starting over. Like we almost forgot about them being really bad the year before. Like we got Joe Johnson, we traded like we got like a couple people, and almost forgot that we were even the New Jersey Nets. Everything was just Brooklyn. So it was really fresh. People were loving the energy, and like I said, we got off to a good start. Like we started off really hot, and it was a lot to like. It was great to be a part of. It was really, really, really great to be a part of, especially being a Jersey kid. Like for me, that's the cherry on top of the whole experience of getting drafted. All of that is like, damn, I got drafted to a team that I grew up watching. Like my cousins and my family from New Jersey, we're Nets. We grew up. We got like I'm playing for the fucking Nets, bro. Like nobody believed it. Nobody like it didn't make any sense. And so those experiences as alone, bro, like unmatched for me.
Where did you play overseas?
As soon as I left the Nets, I went to Russia. So I was in Russia for a year, Turkey for a year. I played in Italy for a year and a half. I was in Israel for a year and a half.
Oh, nice.
Been to South America like Argentina, Venezuela. Played in Puerto Rico. Fucking went to Vietnam a couple years ago in 2020, which is when I stopped. So I made my rounds, bro. It got tough there those last 3 or 4 years, but the first 3 or 4 was smooth, bro. Like, you know, the transition was easy. I got to the bag. I was killing over there. So it was really fun. I got to experience shit that I never really thought about experiencing, museums, and I'm in Russia and Moscow walking around on the block like I'm just outside chilling like I'm in a neighborhood, but I'm in Moscow. Like it was wild. So it was some experiences, bro, that I really got to take from my whole career. My whole career has been one great experience, bro.
Hell yeah.
I overachieved, bro. A kid from Hoboken Projects who made it to the league, you know, played at Kansas, got a degree, you know, made it to the next step of basketball, made a bunch of money, traveled overseas, did everything, played in the G League. I played at every level of the game. I was successful at every level of the game for the most part. Again, made a bunch of money. Like I've done everything that I could think that I wanted to do with the game. And so, yeah, man, it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Oh yeah. Listen, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, real hoop fans, we know the name Tyshawn Taylor, and I was pumped when you agreed to come on the show. I want to talk a little bit about these 2024, 2025 Brooklyn Nets, Tyshawn, and they're 4-4, they're 500. New head coach Jordi Fernandez, he's been awesome. You know, this team is supposed to tank for a draft pick. Like they're supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league. That's the MO. That's what the media is saying. That's what the fans are expecting. Yet they come out here. They beat the Grizzlies twice. They beat the Bucks, who are terrible right now.
They're struggling bad right now.
They're struggling, and I'm blanking on their last win, other than the Grizzlies twice and the Bucks. I'll get to it, but what do you make of this team? Like, what is it like playing for a team that's supposed to be really bad, the Bulls. The Bulls is the fourth win. A team that's supposed to tank, they're supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league. Like, as a player, how do you take that message and just go out there and compete with the best in the NBA?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you just go compete. I think when everybody's kind of counting you out or expecting you to not be good, especially in the NBA, so many games, it's like guys circle games and then it's like, oh, we just playing the Nets, or oh, we just playing Detroit, or oh, so it's like it's hard to kind of, when you're playing so many games, you're traveling so much, you look for a reason to like have a day off, so to speak. And so Brooklyn is showing people that like, yeah, we're not the day off. Like, we're gonna compete, whether you beat us or not. We're gonna compete, and so that's just the energy you got to have when you got guys like Cam who can score the basketball at a high clip. Dennis Schroeder's been balling these last few games. I looked at his stats the other day. He's been balling like the last 3 or 4 games. So like, when you got guys who play hard, right, compete, you got a couple guys who can put the ball in the hole. It's the NBA, bro. Anything can happen. So it's like, just compete. That's it. That's the message for a team like a Detroit or a Washington or a Brooklyn who's supposed to be tanking or supposed to not be good. Compete. Win or lose, we're going to go out there and show them that this is not going to be an easy 48 minutes or whatever it is, you know?
Schroeder's averaging 19.9 points per game and 7.3 assists. Under 3 turnovers a game. He's been awesome. You mentioned Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is at about 25 points per game. What do you think a guy like his ceiling is? Like, have we seen his peak, or do you still think he has some room to improve his game?
So
he's young.
I love what. Yeah, he is young. Which is, I think, is the upside in what he does. But I just feel like he got to be on a team like Brooklyn to be himself. Like, he has to be a guy who can get 25 shots a game. And I don't know if he'll be able to do that on a good team, right? And I'm not saying that, right. Obviously, I play in the league. I respect all of these guys, so I'm not gonna say they're a fucking bad team. But like if he went to like a Boston or a Dallas or another team where there's superstars, he wouldn't be able to take 25 shots. And I know he's a volume guy. He needs 25 shots to kind of get his. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. And so I honestly love that he's able to show people, because I know he's gonna go. He's making money right now. He's making money for himself, so I know he'll go somewhere, if anywhere, and be successful, because what he can do is put the ball in the hole, and that's the name of the game. At what rate, at what clip, I'm not sure, but I love him on Brooklyn because they need that. Without you take him out of the lineup, there's no real scorers there. There's no one that you throw the ball to with 5 seconds on the clock, like, go get us one. He can do that with the top guys in the league. He can get you one. And so, yeah, I mean, I like what he does. His game is unorthodox. Like, it's like a herky jerky, like kind of unorthodox. He's very athletic. He's a tough shot maker. He 3-level scorer. So I mean, he's a threat. He's a threat from all over the court, and you need that. You need that in the NBA. You need a couple of those in the NBA. Actually, you can't just have one guy like that on the team and be successful in the NBA now. It's like everybody has at least 2 or 3 of those guys. So I think that's where Brooklyn, the Detroits, the Washingtons are struggling, because they only got one of those guys. You got a Jordan Poole who can get you 25 or 30, but then the next guy's probably going to get you 12 or 13. Brooklyn, you got a Cam, and like, you got Schroeder, who's been playing good, but outside of Schroeder, you don't really have a guy who's going to go get you 25 or 30 on a nightly basis. Yeah, everybody can do it, but on a nightly basis. So yeah, man, I think that's the struggle right now with Brooklyn, is just getting those superstars. I mean, we thought we had it with Kai and James and KD and all of those guys, but it's a weird organization, man. I felt like when I got drafted, the NBA was all getting younger, but we were for some reason getting older. It was like a weird time in the NBA at that time, like 2010, 11, 12. It was like a weird. This is when the Stephs and the KDs are all getting into their, like, you know, the guys that we see as superstars now are, I guess, old guys now. That was 10 years ago. So that, like, the KDs and the Stephs and the Jameses, they were just getting their footing, right? They were just becoming who we know now. But for whatever reason, Brooklyn was going to get KG and Paul, which I love. We love these guys, but at that time, the league was getting younger, the Nets were getting older, and I think that hurt them. That 2 or 3 years span, I think, hurt us for now. And I think we're paying for that now, actually. and I'm not. That's like front office shit that I really don't know much about. But and like just being there in that time and seeing what was happening, seeing the guys getting drafted, seeing the guys who were having success in the NBA at that time, seeing the guys on the come up, and realizing like, bro, these guys are all under 30. We just went and got guys that are about to be 40. Like, we can't, like, what is happening, And then we got guys like myself, we got guys like Dre Blotch, we got guys like Marshawn Brooks and Mason Plumlee, and we were sitting on the bench, and we like, but like the whole league playing guys like us, they're finding space for guys like us because they know in 4 or 5 years, KG, these motherfuckers are going to be gone, which they were, but yeah, it was just kind of weird, but yeah, man, I think Brooklyn, they definitely need superstars. You need superstars in the NBA. You gotta have a couple superstars. You gotta have some stars. You gotta have guys. Cam is great. He's great for his position. He's doing what he's supposed to do, but you gotta have superstars.
I agree. If you want to compete for championships, you got to have superstars. You also got to have good role players, and that brings me to your boy from Kansas, Jalen Wilson.
My boy Jay Will,
who's been killing it. Second round pick. Outside of Cam and Dennis Schroeder, he might be the next best isolation scorer on the team. He's been getting in his bag a little bit this season. Jalen Wilson, oh yeah, off the dribble a little bit.
Which I like to see. He's getting a little bit more comfortable. He has the body for it. He has the size and skill for it. The confidence. He's an older player. He's a 4 or 5 year guy at Kansas. So like, he's finding himself. And again, at that level, it's about opportunity, right? I think there's a lot of guys in the NBA able to play in the NBA and make an impact, but don't have the opportunity because of the team that they're on. So he's making the best of his opportunity, and I think that's important because he's showcasing himself for his future. And I'm supporting him. He wore number 10 at Kansas. I wore number 10 at Kansas. So he's my boy. I watched him his whole career at Kansas. I'm a big supporter of Jay Will. I want him to be successful. I see his boy Christian Braun over there with Denver doing his thing. So he has that type of his boy Ochai is in Toronto, got Grady Dick in Toronto. So seeing those guys being able to flourish, I think, it's how it's supposed to happen. You come in, you sit your year, or you sit your year, you watch how guys play, you go to the G League, you come back up, you understand the travel, you understand your body, you understand your nutrition, you kind of you know the ropes a little bit, you get more comfortable as the years go on. And so he's making the right strides, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I think as a fan, from a young guy, you love to just, like, that first year, you're just looking for energy and effort. And I think every time he got an opportunity last season, that's what we saw as fans. And this year in Summer League MVP Jalen Wilson, he popped the fuck off. And ever since he's been getting time this year, you can see how much better he's gotten from year one to year two. And the effort and energy is still there. He's just improved his overall offensive game. I know Coach Fernandez wants him to get a little bit better defensively, but I've been very impressed with him in year two, along with Noah Clowney, who I think is going to get more playing time as the season goes on. He's a little bit buried on the depth chart right now. But 16 minutes a game for Clowney, 23 minutes a game for Jalen Wilson. Like you said, it's all about opportunity, and these two second-year guys are getting a ton of opportunity.
Yeah, 23 minutes a game in an NBA game is a lot for a young guy, man. So if you can, especially now, everybody pay attention to that plus minus. So you get a couple of rebounds. You don't hurt your team by taking bad shots or turning the ball over or getting scored on a bunch. Pete, they look at that. So you can be in the game 6 or 7 minutes at a time, and your plus minus is a positive. You're gonna play more. Those 6 or 7 minutes will turn to 10 or 12 because they see this is a constant positive when you're in the game. We're not dropping off. And he's that kind of player. He's that kind of player. He can kind of space the floor a little bit as far as like play everywhere, 1 through 4 almost. I think he's getting more confident with his jump shot. Again, is a big body, can finish around the rim. He's always been a good rebounder for his position and his size. So yeah, man, I think the sky's the limit for him, especially as he starts to get more comfortable. And having a coach that believes in you and trusting you really, really helps, man. I think that's really important. I think at that level, having someone who's going to let you play through your mistakes and kind of help guide you through those things is very important.
Last player I just wanted to ask about, you can give me your thoughts quickly. How do you see the season playing out for Ben Simmons?
You know what? I think people are too hard on Ben, man. I root for him in the sense of like I know what he can do, his ability. I seen him in college. Like I seen Ben be successful as a basketball player. Like I've seen him have success. So I know what that looks like. And I know some of these people who give him a hard time are just getting on the Ben Simmons hate train because that's what they hear and have been hearing. But I've seen the kid at LSU. I seen him when he first got drafted and had those successful years in Philly. So I know what he's capable of, but I also know how hard it is to fight injuries, right? I know how hard it is when everybody's on you. I know how hard it is to play in New York and be in Brooklyn. I know how hard it like how the pressures of that. Um, but I mean, yeah, can he ever get back to that like superstar, all-star? Uh, I don't know. Maybe in the right situation. I don't know if it can happen in Brooklyn because I think they depend on him too much. And I'm not sure if
Right.
he's that guy anymore. But I think in a system with other good players, the things that he does, his size, he's fucking he can see the floor, he rebound, he plays defense when he wants to, he's super athletic. Is a mismatch problem when he has his confidence going and he's being aggressive offensively. Anybody would be crazy not to want a Ben Simmons type of player on your team. He's not a person that's going to take a bunch of shots. He doesn't demand the ball. He doesn't need the ball in his hand. It's like he's the person that you want to play with.
Right.
And I can see how sometimes it's frustrating. The game is different now. It's not like you got to be able to make shots. You got to be able to space the floor. And I get that. But he does so many other things that if you can put guys around him that do those things and fill those spaces, then he could be really good. I think he just kind of he got to get his confidence back. I'm not speaking for him, but being a guy who's seen him when it seemed like he just had a bunch of confidence compared to now, it seems like he's a different. Like it's a little bit different, a little more hesitant, a little more second guessing things. I think he just needs to get back to going to play. Fuck what people say. Fuck making mistakes. Know who you are, bro. We all know as basketball players, part of us being good basketball players is the confidence that we carry with it, right? Um, Obviously you build confidence by going through it. So you shoot 100 shots at practice by yourself. In the game, you're gonna believe that you can make it. You're gonna have confidence in it because you know that you just shot 100 shots. So it's that like constant work that gets that confidence, but it's also like I just said prior to having people believe in you. So having a coach to
Right.
say, Ben, shoot that shit. Like go shoot it, bro.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like having those people around you to say, bro, you can like we seen you make 7 or 8 in a row. Just shoot it. That's also huge. That's also huge. I love Darren Williams, but I remember playing with him and being a guy who was on the end of the bench dying to play basketball. And D Will would have a bad game and would come and sit next to me and be like, I just don't have any confidence, man. I don't know what's going on. And I would be like, you're fucking Darren Williams, bro. Like, you just signed an $80 million or whatever. Like, what? How much more confidence do you fucking need? Like, you're telling me this? I'm sitting at the end of this bench. I can't get in the game, and you're telling me. But I understand as a player who is playing, you can lose that. You miss 3-4 shots in a row. Fans start booing you. Your
Right.
teammates start like huffing and puffing every time you do some shit. That will like, oh shit, like, should I shoot this? Even if you're a Darren Williams or even if you're a Ben Simmons. So believing in yourself, having people around you that believe in you is huge. And I think he just has to get back to that.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And as fans, we've seen flashes of it. Like we've seen moments in games where he'll make 3 or 4 plays in a row, and you'll be like, "Oh, this is the old Ben Simmons." And then he'll pass up a wide open layup, or he won't shoot a wide open 4-footer, and you kind of shrug and you say, "Okay, like he's figuring it out." It's been a year or two of this, but again, coming off the back injury, I empathize with the guy. I really do. I want him to see. I want him to return to the form that I think you and I both know he can get close to, if not all the way there.
The crazy part is when I watch the games, I feel like this is the perfect situation for him to do it because what we talked about earlier, the team not having superstars or people who demand the ball. Like, I don't think anyone's going to be pissed if Ben just starts like being more aggressive or like, I don't think anybody's going to like be mad about it. Like you're Ben
Right.
Simmons. Like, you know what I
Right. Like
mean?
take a
Like
3 here and there. Like take a triple. No one's going to be pissed.
it's not you don't have he's not playing with James Harden. He's not playing with Kevin
Right.
Durant. He's not playing with Joel Embiid. He's playing with Cam Thomas. he's playing with Cam Johnson. He's playing with other guys who are also second, third options or used to being that, which is fine. It's the NBA. Being an option at all is a great thing. You know what I mean? Like if you're an option at all in the NBA, that says something. So yeah, I just feel like if he happens to go to a different team, they won't give him the same opportunity. Maybe they'll get Ben and he'll be like, they'll play him like they play Westbrook now. Like he's coming in, but we don't need him. Like we love him and we love his energy if he's playing well, but we don't need him. And I feel like he's kind of working his way to that, opposed to kind of working his way back to what we want him to be. Which again, it's no disrespect to Russ, there's no disrespect to him. I've been in the league. I know how hard it is. I respect every nigga who's in that motherfucker, bro, because I know that what it takes. And I know that the guy at the end of the bench will go to any other place in the world and be the best player. So I get it, but I just also know you got a window. You got a small, very, very, very small window to be successful in the NBA because good guys coming all the time. And so, yeah, the window's just, I feel like it may be closing a little bit. It's not closed. Obviously, Ben Simmons, he's 6'10", he's athletic. You know, he's the number 1 or 2 draft, whatever it was. So people will give him opportunity. He'll get opportunities more so than a 41st pick or a second, you know what I mean? So he'll get the opportunities over and over, but the windows, it closes. It does close. Even when you're fucking MVP like Russ, you'll get shipped around. Right. Or a guy like Carmelo, who's a Hall of Famer and couldn't play his last 3 years in the league because, like, nobody wants you, you know? So, but he's good, man. I like Ben. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for the host. I always root for Brooklyn. I'm not a huge fan, but I root for them. It's like an emotional attachment that I have to the Nets at this point in my life.
Hell yeah. No,
I'm forever locked in.
I love to hear that. Looking ahead to next season's draft, there are some names. Who's a big name you'd love to see in Brooklyn? There's some guys like Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Nolan Traore, VJ Edgecombe. Who are some guys that you're seeing or hearing about that you're excited to see?
Yeah, I'm staying in Jersey with this shit. We got to go get Dylan, bro. If he available, go get Dylan. Keep it in Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Keep that shit all the way East Coast. He a Jersey kid. It'll just make sense, bro. Like I think that him being from there, going to school there, going to Rutgers and keeping that tradition going, it'll just make sense for him to be somewhere like Brooklyn. I think he'll fit right in with the culture, obviously, being a New York, New Jersey kid. Just the energy, the atmosphere of like drafting a New Jersey kid. I really think that always does something. A hometown kid, you get that like just a different feel, right? And again, I'm speaking from experience. Like I was able to walk through New York City as a Jersey kid and like, oh, that's Tyshawn Taylor. Like I'm in like Times Square and kids running up to me and shit. Mind you, I'm from here. Like I've been walking down these blocks my whole life. You know what I mean? But now at a different level. So for me, I think that would be super dope. That would be super dope to see a Jersey kid go. But obviously Cooper Flagg, we love that motherfucker's good. I would love to see him in the next jersey. Trying to think who coming out of Kansas. I don't know who, Hunter, maybe Hunter Dickerson. I don't know. But yeah, maybe one of these Kansas guys. I'd love to see another Kansas guy in the Nets jersey. But for real though, I just want the Nets to be successful, man. I know that Joe Johnson trade, that Paul Pierce to KG trade, the KD Harden stuff. It seemed like they got just can't catch a break. It just like they can't catch a break. KD's foot being on the line in that playoffs with Milwaukee, it broke my heart. Like, you just can't catch a break, man. So I just hope something happens and changes because I want to be able to say I was a part of that. I got drafted by that championship team 20 years ago.
That's the dream. That's the dream for us Nets fans, Tyshawn, and we think we're close. You know, the Big Three era, it had a shitty ending. We thought we can rebuild sort of right after KD really quickly. Midseason wasn't the case, but we're finally at a place as fans where we have young talent. We talked about it earlier. We're going to have a good draft pick next year, and I think 3 to 4 years down the line, the Nets are going to be one of the most respectable teams in the East. It's coming. I wanted to say, you know, and real fast in the comments, we have Knocker who wrote, shout out Springfield Armor.
Yep. Yep.
You
Shout out
you
to the
played Springfield,
Springfield
right? There you go.
I did. Yep, I did. They sent me down there a couple times. I played really well in Springfield. Actually, I did not enjoy Massachusetts that much, but I had been to Springfield a bunch before that because again, I'm being from Jersey. We used to play high school tournaments at the Hall of Fame there, so we would go there every year and play tournaments in high school. So I was very familiar with the area. But yeah, it was fun. Shout out to Springfield. I know
Shout out to
it's not
Springfield.
Springfield anymore, but shout out to Springfield.
Yeah. Also, I heard a rumor back in the day. We're going back like 10 years. Did you ever hoop at the 24-hour fitness in Paramus? Or no?
Probably no, probably.
Yeah. When they opened, this is random. I would hear like, "Oh, Tyshawn Taylor hooped here like a week or two ago," and I actually just started going there this year.
One of my good friends was a DJ in New York.
Okay.
And he and his brother lived in Paramus, and that's where they would go to hoop. And so these were the guys that I would hang out with. And so we would go up there and we would hoop and shit. I'll be seeing like Jim Jones up there working out and shit. It'd be a bunch of like rappers from the city who lived in New York in that same gym. And so I was going up there a lot actually. This was after I was this was when I would come back from overseas though. So I was overseas, but when I would come back for the summertime and be working out and training and shit, I would go up there. Hell yeah. I was getting some good bump up there.
Next time you're in Jersey, man, I'm there 3 days a week, like 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, I hope that I joined in March. I've been going as much as I could.
You probably see some of my boys up there anyway.
Hell yeah, we get some good runs over there. I'm a shooter, man. I live at the 3-point line. I can hit 2 or 3 again. Spot up. That's my game.
I like it.
This is awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on. We'd love to have you back on the show in the future. Talk more Nets. If you're ever at 24-hour fitness in Paramus, let me know. You got my information, but we really appreciate it, Tyshawn. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. I appreciate you working with me. I had to do this shit from my car. Just leaving the gym with my son. Say, what's up, boy? You on YouTube now?
What's up?
What's going on, man?
He the next that draft. What year are you gonna be? 2020?
2031.
2031 draft pick for the Nets right here.
Let's go.
But yeah, we just finished working out, training him up, getting him right. So I appreciate you being patient with me. I hope that the clarity and everything is good when it pops up on the YouTube.
Everything's perfect. It's going to be perfect.
Very much, brother.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.